Well, good morning. It's Tuesday, so that's Blended Family Tuesday. Today, I wanted to chat with you about food and how we eat together as a family. And that might sound silly, but you'd be really amazed at the dynamics that have to take place for a blended family to have successful dinners with each other. And to explain to you what I mean about that, I want to kind of talk to you about how we were then, how we were now, and kind of go forward with explaining to you how we do our eating around here. The first thing I'll start with is things that we drink. Like when we first started dating and before we moved in together, right before we got married. So the thing that stuck out to me the most the first couple of times that my husband and the boys came over to our house to have dinner or hang out is that they would come over to our house with these big 44-ounce cups from like Circle K or QT, full of Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper or Monster, just the like basically buckets of sugar that they were walking around with. And so that's pretty much what they drank before they met me and the girls. And the girls and I drank water, and we drank green tea, and the girls drank almond milk also. We were never juice drinkers. The girls never drank juice when they were little, and they always have just preferred water or tea, whether that was black tea or sweet tea or green tea or water. And that's what the girls drank, and that's what I drink. I want you to know though, now I wasn't the thing that flipped the switch on the giant soda drinks, because in addition to the giant soda, my husband used to also have like the largest can of Monster a day. And I didn't know this, but he also said that he would drink 2 liters of Coca-Cola a day just at home, and that was a regular thing for them to drink soda and sugar like that. But he actually saw a movie, like a documentary about sugar, probably a month or 2 into us dating. And after that, for him, he went on a vengeance with getting sugary drinks out of his life. And the boys, the oldest one, he kind of started to transition into Gatorades, which aren't that much better, or Powerades. And now that he's 18 and he makes his own money, he tends to kind of indulge in like big vats of Hawaiian Punch that he keeps in his room. He's also got a lot of water in there. But I want to say that the biggest improvement I want to point out is our 16-year-old. At the time when we met, he was 12. He loved Dr. Pepper. I mean, he could not do a day without Dr. Pepper. And by the time we moved in together, he had just worked his way around to having water, and he doesn't really care for tea, so he just pretty much always has water. And on an odd occasion, maybe because we don't really go out to eat anymore, but maybe if we do, or if we go to the movies, you know, then he might have a soda there. We all like root beer at the movies, but I think then he might go back and have a Dr. Pepper. But otherwise, and you know, a big thing that I'd like to point out about that is that he used to be a really tiny guy, and I really think between getting off those sodas and then learning to eat the way that I cook, had a big move on his size and his growing. So that kind of moves us into how we ate also, because they didn't have a mama around at their house. They were, for the most part, eating a lot of strange stuff, from bologna sandwiches, which we ate bologna sandwiches when I was growing up too, just not for dinner like every night. They ate a lot of boxed stuff, a lot of canned stuff, And on the flip side of that, the girls and I and my mom, who then had been living with me for a year, we ate almost zero out of a box, and some stuff out of a can, some vegetables, obviously things like tuna we would have from a can, but for the most part we ate really whole foods. And out of the three of them, they also had a super picky eater, and that was our youngest son, who's 16 now. He that was his thing. Like, he was very picky about his hamburgers, about his pizza, about every single thing that he ate, and he was really adverse to most vegetables. And I have to be honest with you and say that that pickiness was really tough for me to deal with. And the biggest thing is I didn't want it to be contagious, because the girls, you know me, I made their baby food. You know, they had fresh, whole, and when I could, organic vegetables, especially in the first year that I made their baby food. It was always organic, but you can do that on a budget if you know about how easy it is to make baby food. Our girls were really good about eating vegetables, from broccoli to salads, spinach. They just, it was their normal part of life to eat that way. And our oldest son was so-so. He was okay with vegetables, and so it was easy for him to open up and explore different types of dishes. And it really took us a good year to swing the younger one out of the pickiness, and it was slow. And by that I mean that we incorporated the same thing that I always did with the girls, because the girls did come through you know, different points in time where they had things that they were picky about, but I really believe that, especially with children, the small ones, and as you move through adopting new eating habits, it's important to know that palates change all the time, just like the palate enjoying different textures at different times. So I've always encouraged the girls, and it easily became something that we moved into with the boys, is even if you didn't like it 2 weeks ago, we're still going to try it again today. And you might like the way that it's made today, the way it's seasoned different today, or even the texture of it differently today. And so that was a big leap in helping our 16-year-old move out of some really picky habits that he had. And once he got real comfortable eating salads and lettuces and tomatoes and things like that, then it was easy to, you know, beg the question, when he had to have all those things taken off of a hamburger, what sense did it make? And so he can actually eat a hamburger with pretty well everything on it now. And so I count that as a great achievement that we were able to work through that. And I wasn't ever crazy picky about what went on at the dinner table as I was if we were spending money out somewhere, because, you know, the only time we would be in a situation where we'd be getting a burger like that is usually if we were traveling. And so we're on the road, and you're just wanting to try and get back on the road, and you're ordering for 6 or 7 people, but then you've got that one special order, you know, and you have to double check for that special order, because if you leave the parking lot without that special order and you get 5 miles down the road and that kid discovers that his thing's not that way, well, you just don't want to deal with those emotions. So that's how we ate. Some things I'll say about that did kind of change with the girls was ranch. I always prided myself in not being a dipper. You know, I didn't really get things out so much for the girls to dip their foods in. I wanted them to learn to eat those vegetables without having to dip them. But something that came onto our plate was ranch, especially around pizza. The boys really like to dip or sometimes cover their entire pizza in ranch. But that's something that they like to do, and so the girls kind of picked up on that. And before, I'd say one dipping thing that we did have around was barbecue sauce. My youngest daughter doesn't have the biggest palate for meat, and so sometimes if there is meat that she would like to eat, she usually wants it dipped. So those are kind of the ways that we drank before, the ways that we ate before. And so that moves me into real quickly, as I finish up, the budget that I went from managing. Because when it was just the girls and I and my mother, you know, I had our budget to like $60 a week that I spent on food. And when we combined houses, I mean, my budget really blew up, and it easily got to where it was $200, $250 a week. And you know, I really toned down a lot of the organic purchases that I made. I really stick to organic on apples a lot, because it's one thing that I can't trust my children to grab and go and not wash properly, or I wash them all myself. And sometimes I do, because I get them at Sprouts and I get an even better price than I would in some cases. But I really, over the course of the last year, because of the way my job was cycling and I was all commission, I toned us back to getting us down to a budget of $150 a week for 7 people, and I've been successful at doing that. And that also includes, for the most part, the chlorine for the pool and the toilet paper that we need. And I want to do a video next week. Hopefully I get some good sale ads this week, because that's a big part of how I got my budget down to 150, was finding purchasing price points for things that we do eat and I do want to store. So I think next Tuesday, that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to go through with you and show you how I learned to shop, how I taught myself to shop from some videos, and just some things that I picked up from looking at those ads. And maybe that can help you understand how I make it so affordable now for us to have fresh food that we don't make out of boxes. Almost everything we cook is from scratch, and we're able to keep it as low as that. So I hope you enjoyed kind of learning about how we transitioned through how we used to eat and drink and how we do eat and drink now, and how we've got such healthy, happy children, because all of them are really healthy and they get sick very rarely. We usually have one sick kid a year, besides that appendicitis that we had last year. But super healthy, and I really attribute that a lot to food. Thank you so much for tuning in with us again today, and I hope you have the best day ever.